Okay, now I'm going to work on rebuttaling objection number 13 of Mike Ferry's 40 real estate objection handlers. And what that is, we don't want to list at a price that will get it sold in 1 week. I've actually gotten this objection before in time. Actually, probably a few times I've gotten this. So this is one of those objections that if you're talking to enough people, if you're talking to enough people that own property, they're going to be selling their homes, you're going to come up with this one. Now, just like, prior strategies, I am going to start off rebuttaling this, reframing it as a question. And actually, I'm really dumbfounded on this, legitimately. Wait, you don't want to list at a price that will get your home sold in 1 week? Remember, strategic pause. The next person that talks loses. Well, you want to make sure, give it time for the mind to cue in that it's the other person's to talk. Well, yeah, I feel that if we list the property and it sells within a 1 week time span, that we're leaving money on the table. Oh, I totally get it. So you feel that if we list it at a price that causes the property to sell within a week, then you're actually leaving money on the table. I totally get it. Look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, in my 23 years of experience, I've sold thousands of homes, and I've sold hundreds of homes within this market. And what I find is that there's 3 common denominators when it comes up with sellers. Number 1 is they want to sell their home for the most money. Number 2, they want to sell it in the quickest amount of time. And number 3, they want to do it the least amount of hassle. Is that true for you as well? Well, yeah, that's true for me as well, but we don't want to give the home away. Absolutely not. I don't want you to give that home away. Now, if you don't mind me asking, how long do you want it to take to sell your home? Interesting question, right, guys? It's a legitimate question. If you were talking to one of your friends, somebody who you had rapport with, and someone came up with you with such a ridiculous statement saying, hey, I want to sell my house, but I don't want to sell it in a week, wouldn't you ask them, say, okay, that's a really interesting point. How long do you want it to take? What if it took 3 months? Do you want it to take 3 months? Well, no, I don't want to take it 3 months. Okay, so is there a time frame that you want to sell it in? And this really comes back to you pre-qualifying the candidate, the seller. You have to find out what their why is, and you have to find out what their when is. Why are they selling, their motivation, and when they want to sell? Because if they have to be somewhere in 3 months, yeah, they don't want to sell their home in a week because they still have to live somewhere in 3 months. Now, in this market, at the time we're doing this training, in this market, you want to sell it fast, because we're going into a year of uncertainty. So in my conversations with agents, with everybody, I think personally that it's foolish not to sell your home when home prices are at the top of the market in the history of forever, and we're going into a period of really unknown. If you're looking to sell your home in the reasonable near future. So these people who are saying, I want to wait until spring or I want to wait until summer, they're planning on selling it. I honestly think that it's foolish for them to roll that dice and gamble that things aren't going to disconnect, that 2021 is going to be a more crazy year than 2020. But that's their choice. And the way that you actually have to get them by you telling them that is not going to change anything for them. The only way that you're going to change things for them is you're going to have to engage their logical part of their brain and force them to answer questions, tough questions. Okay, so when I come back to them and say, okay, I totally get it, but if you don't mind me asking, how long do you want it to take? Okay, so I want it to take, I just want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my money. Look, I totally get it. Most homeowners, like I said, one of the things that's really important is netting the most money for their home. But do you know what the average time on market is right now? No, I don't. And guys, this is a true number. The average time on market now is 11 days. 11 days. Do you know how many months of inventory there is right now? No, Brett, I don't know how many months of inventory. Notice how I'm just not telling those stats. I'm asking them if they know. Chances are they don't know. Even if they do know, I'm just going to agree with them and I'm just going to repeat what the answer is. But you want to keep the other party engaged. The problem that I find that a lot of salespeople have is that they go into delivery mode, training mode, information delivery mode, and it just really needs to be a two-way conversation. So the way that you do that, number one, is don't ever ask a question you don't know the answer to. But number two, ask them questions simply to keep them engaged, so they're not a spectator, they're actually a participant in the conversation. So do you know how many months supply is? No, I don't. How many months of supply? There's 2 months of supply here. Guys, that's a true number in Orange County. There's a 2-month supply. What that means is that if no new homes came onto the market, all of Orange County homes would be depleted in 2 months. Now, that's a great opportunity for you. Do you know why? Why? Because what that means is that it's a seller's market, and the fact that it's 11 days, if we price your home accurately within where the market says, it's not going to sell in a week. On average, it's going to sell in 11 days. And then pause. And then they're going to sit there and they're going to contemplate that. Now, you said that you actually have to be, in your new place by, X amount of time, right? Right. Okay. So that is in alignment with what we're talking about. We actually need to sell this home within the next probably 11 to 15 days, because what we find is that escrow periods, if the buyer is going to get a loan, we're probably looking at a 40 to 45 day time period just to actually go through the escrow process and actually get it sold. So it's not just selling it and getting into escrow and finding somebody who wants to buy it. It is the time frame that we have to coordinate all the chaos that goes with selling a home and make sure it lands on one day so that you can maximize your proceeds, so that you can get your money and you can move on to your next house. Isn't that what you're actually looking to do? Guys, that's my assumption. And I'm shaking my head, yes. Isn't that what you're really looking to do? Well, yeah, it is what I'm looking to do. Now, guys, I know that's what they're looking to do. Now, Brett, why do you know that's why people are looking to do that? Because I know I've talked to sellers. And I promise you, every single seller wants to sell their home for the most money in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. That's why when I started in my solo career as an agent, that's why I focused on defaults, right? Because I have a consumer that didn't care how much they sold the home for. They didn't want to sign in the yard. You didn't want to market it, and they didn't care what I charged for commission. I mean, it's the perfect person. Yeah, there's other things that went with it, but I've never met a seller that wanted to sell their home in the longest amount of time for the least amount of money for the most amount of hassle. I've never found that. And when you do find that, because it does exist, that's why you sort them out through the pre-qualification process. If through your pre-qualifying that you come across somebody that wants to sell it for the most money for the least amount of money in the longest amount of time and for the most amount of hassle, not a good problem to have, not a good thing. The only good thing about that is that they want it sold for the lowest amount of money. But the other two, that person does not exist on planet Earth. So that's how we rebuttal number 13. We don't want to list at a price that will get it sold in 1 week. Now, in closing, here's what I want you guys to take away from this. It's not the words. It's not the words that are going to get you to rebuttal it. It is having the conversation. It's asking the questions. And it's the way that you say it. We talk about strategic pauses. We talk about these various different techniques. Now, these are techniques that you use anyways, because we've all learned how to speak English, and we've all learned how to communicate with other people. So these are things that we do naturally. But once you understand the science behind it, and once you actually start deliberately practicing it, you're going to be able to deliberately put it into your communication, and you're going to be able to control and navigate the conversation and the rebuttal much easier than if you weren't practicing it. Okay. So guys, that's it for today. We went a little bit over. I apologize for that, but thank you for those of you that attended this live. And if you want to catch the replay, it's going to be up on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in my name, Brett Matsura. You'll find it, and you'll have access to all the trainings. And while you're there, please subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified of any new training. So thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys at the next training.